Hey, what's going on, guys? Tristan here, bringing you episode 2 of the audiobook of My Day with Diddy. This is going to cover chapter 2. I don't want to drag this on too long. I just wanted to quickly apologize for the slight delay between episodes and also give you kind of an update. I don't want to really read this in a specific way that kind of makes it hard for me to read because it's already kind of hard to not mess up. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to flash a picture of parentheses at the very beginning of like a set of parentheses. So just keep an eye out for that. You should, like I said in the first episode, you should be able to tell when I just start going on random tangents. But just to solidify it, I'm going to throw a picture of parentheses in there just to let you know that it is in fact a tangent. So thanks for watching, guys. Chapter 2, the second chapter. So there I was, rolling down the tower in L.A., when I thought to myself, hey, my bling makes me look like a king. Hey, that rhymes! As could be easily told by my thoughts of rhymes and kingly appearances, I was feeling like $1,000,000 that day. Waltzing through the empty, trash-laden back roads, I could foresee nothing that could stand in my way. Although, maybe Daniel Craig could stop me. I mean, damn, it's Daniel Craig. I mean, did you see him do parkour with that black guy in Casino Royale? It was ridiculous. An unstoppable force would be a good way to think about it. A force giddier than, perhaps, that of a schoolgirl. However, in spite of all this, I remained irritated, and for good reason. Again, though, I reference the forces piece. Do you know what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Well, obviously you don't, because nobody really knows. Well, that day, gunfire to be heard in the distance played the part of the immovable object. Actually, it was the lack of gunfire that really pissed me off. I just couldn't get past the fact that only a couple of murders had taken place that morning on the LA streets, and I started to wonder where exactly the gangsters might have been. Certainly they weren't on lunch breaks, because gangsters don't simply break for a meal when there's killing afoot. That shit's just common knowledge. Whatever their reason may have been, though, all that thought of lunch breaks made me hungry, and a Whopper was sounding mighty tasty at the time. And it's fitting as well with all the thoughts of kings in the first paragraph. By the way, my name is Tristan, for all of you that don't know. Which is probably none of you, considering this book is never going to get published. I guess you could say I'm pretty cool as far as 15-year-olds are concerned. People tend to describe me like cool, awesome, hot, video games, the greatest, and really, really hot. I've even been described as the songbird of my generation by some, but that's for another book entirely. I'm really flattered, but rest assured that I am only a man, not a god. Enough about me, though. You came for the epic, unadulterated, copyright-infringing P. Diddy debauchery. Trust me, there's plenty of time for such a joyous occasion, but if I don't develop my character, which is essential for most novels, the story won't be nearly as good. You're just gonna have to trust me on that one. Basically, the streets are my life. Oof, already with the cliches. It's gonna be a long ride, guys. I'd lived in LA for quite some time then. It was almost 10 years to be exact. Needless to say, I know my way around town, and I have some pretty sweet hookups. Need a cup of coffee? I have a place for you. Need a hooker? I have even more places for you. It's a case of you name it, I know it when it comes to me and this city of angels. I wouldn't have it any other way. Except with more gunfire. Where the hell are those guys? Where was I with the story, though? Stand by while I scroll up the page to see where I was last time I worked on the book. Ah, yes. I was damn hungry. My craving for a Whopper was a nasty one, too. The situation seemed hopeless with the nearest BK being at least 10 miles away, which is 16.0934 kilometers for all my readers overseas, which again is nobody, considering this will never get published. But I knew it had to be done. I mean, I can't just pussy out on that shit. I was already halfway there. So, let the record show that on that day, I, Tristan Michael Braun, certainly did not pussy out, and my 16-point-something kilometer walk was underway. I stomped the yard. Actually, that was only really a funny reference when I wrote the book, and that was the year that that movie came out, so yeah, sorry for putting you through that one. Down countless alleyways, and as easy as walking may be, most humans learn it as toddlers, the trek was a bit tougher than I had previously imagined. Summer had just hit, and hookers were out in force. The sweltering heat was bad enough as is, but it was one of those really bad ones to boot. The kind with plenty of extra humidity. The kind of heat where every bad smell is amplified because old food is rotting and everyone imaginable was sweating profusely. You could practically smell the chlamydia in the air. Trust me, it was bad. It was no worse than Seth MacFarlane's Oscars performance, though, I suppose. "You looking for a good time, sweetie?" said the grotesque hooker directly to my right, which has now interrupted the flow of my novel. Again, I bring up the chlamydia, but this time only because I was certain that she was the source of the odor. I couldn't tell if she was being serious or not, with me being like 15 at the time. Something was about to go down either way, though, so it didn't much matter. She had this kind of eerie stare on her face that wasn't really penetrating, but just kind of desperate, to be honest. Boasting a nervous smile as well, you could tell she was inexperienced in her line of work. Although, can you really even call it a line of work? I'm not really sure about that. As she eagerly waited for me to pull out my wallet. Her magenta tank top and matching miniskirt clearly hadn't been washed since the Middle Ages, and the experience was overall unpleasant. I decided to pull out a grand total of $0 for her. Instead, I felt it appropriate to take a step back from the woman. I guess it was because of fear, but looking back on it now, the stench was absolutely horrid. Imagine clothes that you just got the most painful workout of your life in, store them in a car for about 3 months of summer heat, and you have the smell of our hooker here. She looked like a Chanel to me. I don't know, that's just me. Although, that's just one man's opinion. What the fuck? I'm looking for BK, not a plethora of diseases, woman, I said. I couldn't help but wonder how one reacts to a desperate hooker in the alleys of L.A. I mean, she clearly wants the money. Perhaps for a son or daughter back home? I tried to figure her out, but God, I simply didn't know where to start. I began to ponder my thoughts even deeper. I did so in such a manner, though, that I set several world records in the process. I finished second for the Nobel Peace Prize and third for the Newbery Children's Book Award, although I was honored to even be mentioned for both. All of this thought left me with one conclusion that I knew was right given the hooker at hand. When I looked up, though, I didn't see the vaguely erotic smiling face of a prostitute. I saw the barrel of a Colt revolver, polished and silvery in hue, pointed directly between my very eyes. "Okay, sweetie." Oh shit, that should have had a comma. "Okay, sweetie. Got any last words before I blow your head off? Maybe now I can finally get that bastard off my back." I pooped myself at that exact moment. She was legit, there was no doubt about it. Her eyes looked determined, an emotion I had not found during my previous analysis, which was thorough given the fact that it took up like 2 paragraphs. In fact, her body language had transformed completely from the moment before, and I was frightened. That hooker had me right where she wanted me, and she knew it too. I had to think fast. This was certainly no time for heroics. With each passing second, I knew this was one moment closer to the end. Oh shit. Oh, I knew I was... Oh, fucking A. I had to think fast. This was certainly no time for heroics. With each passing second, I knew that I was one moment closer to the end. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The pulses of veins acted as a timer, counting down to my final breath. I panicked, almost on the edge of tears from the pressure. Which are man tears, of course. "Go ahead, bitch! Just shit!" I was interrupted mid-sentence only by the flash of red I caught in my peripherals, and I had no choice but to dive violently to my left, landing in what seemed to be a wet bundle of trash bags. However, I was more interested in what appeared to be a red Maserati pinning the now-dead hooker to the building beside me. I sat up for a closer look, trying to scope out who had just saved my skin. It was surprising to see a somewhat familiar face behind the wheel. Who the... Ben Affleck? I was lost, nay, befuddled, as to why the fuck Ben Affleck just ran over that hooker, but I had bigger problems and no time to think it through. "Kid, get your ass in the car! Those fuckers will be all over this alley any minute!" Ben looked more concerned than I had ever seen anybody in my life, almost terrified. It was in his eyes, open wide and overly attentive of his surroundings. He twisted his head left and right to look behind him and at his sides as well. With his right hand, he went to restart the seemingly brand new crimson Maserati, which is a perfect color for hiding hooker blood, by the way. If you ever find yourself in that line of work. The killing hookers one. While with his left he motioned me towards the car. Admittedly, I was terrified, and still in one of those dazes that are so prevalent after life-changing occurrences. Clouded by a fog of confusion and changed life, I hopped into the sporty coupe as we hightailed it the fuck out of there. However, and this may sound odd considering he just committed vehicular manslaughter, in actuality it was probably more like murder, but I was starstruck as shit. I was sitting in the same motherfucking car as Ben Affleck. I don't care how many hookers he killed while I was watching, that guy is a legend. Mid-stargasm, though, I felt a shove to my shoulder. Kid, he said as I was stargasming. "Go ahead, Open Office. You can say that's a spelling error all you want, but I'm not buying it." He had some hard feelings at first, but he cooled down as I re-entered the world for my days. I felt a little less like a burden, as he seemed like he needed the company, since something was apparently going down back there. That suspicion was justified by Ben's sigh lifting a little weight off of his shoulders as well as mine. Overall, as would be obvious after you just witnessed a murder and then drove away with the killer, I was still in a state of shock, even though my daze had subsided. So, first off, Thanks for saving me from that hooker back there. No problem, he said. You would have done the same for me, I'm sure. In reality, I probably wouldn't have. Sorry, bud. Secondly, what the hell were you doing in the back alley saving me from that fucking hooker? I asked this expecting the worst in terms of a response, even coming across as a bit more enraged than I really was. In reality, I was kind of hoping for something funny or badass, if he did respond. I don't know, man. That's a tough one to put out on the table. I don't even know who you are, said Ben, nervously dancing around the truth of his predicament. My name is Tristan Braun. I'm 15 years old. I like short to medium walks on the beach. That sand just gets on my nerves after a while. And I'm a huge Pierce Brosnan fan. Now tell me what the hell is going on, I said quickly to hear his story. Well, shit. First of all, I too am a Pierce Brosnan fan. Boom! I already like this guy. With compatibility like that, it's like we met on eHarmony or something. Actually, that's kind of messed up. I don't know why I wrote that. If you gotta know, though, let's just say I owe a little bit of money to some people and the Don's patience has reached its end. As he clued me in, he gave me that look. You know that one where the person knows you're not going to get what they're telling you, so they play it off like you're a fucking idiot? I gotta admit, I sniffed that one out from a mile away, and I was pissed. As much as I hated to admit it, though, he was right. I had zero idea what he was getting at. Oh, so... Okay, major car chase, take the back alleys to lose them, you're all set. I was actually pretty proud of myself right there. In a matter of less than a paragraph, I had figured out this entire fiasco and proved his insulting look dead wrong. Despite my genius problem-solving right there, though, he was obviously still feeling rather bashful as we came to a stop at the intersection. However, I could tell he was willing to cooperate. Hell, at this point, I was just about all he had. Well, yeah, sure. Okay, you got it. Except, it wasn't exactly cars. Okay, at that point, I was seriously about to just say, fuck it. This puzzle was getting, well, too puzzling. So, what, they were on horses? He cut me off. What? Excuse me? I'm pretty sure I just heard you said you were being chased by horses. Would you care to elaborate on that subject, please? I asked, even more lost than I had ever been. Well, even more so than integrals in calculus. I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. Engstrom, but I have no idea what the hell is going on. I actually still find humor in it to this day that I heard the word horses. I didn't know whether to get out of the car in fear or burst into laughter. The latter was applied in this case. I mean, seriously? Horses? Ah, fuck it. Just keep reading and I guess you'll figure it out eventually. Watching me laugh, he looked shameful, and even taken aback in a real subtle manner. This was a delicate matter for him, as you could tell by the gloomy look on his face. I had no perception of the magnitude surrounding his tale, and he hastily showed me how dire it truly was. It was the Amish Mafia. 3 years ago, I took out loans to invest in a whole shitload of things. Porn. Including this Maserati. But business has been, well, a little bit slow as of late. Even though Argo was like Best Picture or some shit like that, so I kind of find this hard to believe, but I'll roll with it for now, I don't know. And the payments have been, well, non-existent. The Don is a bounty on my head, and the horsemen back there were out to get it. Those fuckers already got my family, man. My wife, my kids, they're gone, he said as tears rolled down both cheeks. A weight lifted off his shoulders, he exhaled. His head sunk as if it had come fully into perspective that he was a dead man. At this point, if he didn't already guess it, shit was definitely real. In fact, it was definitely exponentially more real than it had been thus far in the novel, and my attitude certainly changed to fit it. Now I realized what was really going on. I really was all he had left. If he went home, the Amish Mafia, or whoever the fuck was after him, would no doubt be ready to kill him on sight. No shit, guys, and this is straight from the heart. I felt bad for this guy. I mean, he was nice enough, for a celebrity anyway. I was definitely expecting a cocky asshole when he ordered me into the car, but no, he was totally honest, and I could respect that. Especially from one film buff to another. Oh yeah, I'm a film buff, so that no terrible plot holes are left behind. As much as I wanted to help, I knew it was out of my league, and he knew that as well, rejecting my offer so as to not get me involved. Eventually it dawned on me that I could probably just get a ride to BK while we were at it driving. I figured he wouldn't mind since it was right on the way, and I brought it to his attention. Hey, you know where the closest BK is? I can buy for both of us. I can't say I do. Either way, I'm all set anyway. I just ate a little while ago at In-N-Out Burger. Good fucking shit, In-N-Out Burger. Receiving his bad news, I remembered my GPS, got it out, and requested turn-by-turns for the nearest branch. The garment had still been on, so that was convenient, but now the sun was setting, we really needed to hurry up. For about 2 years at that time, I had really relied on that garment for directions to get anywhere I needed to be. Clubs, bars, school board meetings, and any other destinations were doable thanks to my electronic companion. Now that I was getting a ride, I figured I might as well try to pass the time with pointless conversation. It wouldn't be too difficult. We really hit it off surprisingly well, considering our paths crossed when I was about to get killed by a hooker, and the same was about to happen to him, only via Amish horsemen. I thought about trying to cheer him up, but that's a bit easier said than done when you're dealing with a guy whose entire family was dead. In any case, I was still interested in this conundrum of his. So, have you ever met this Don? I mean, he seems to hate you enough. Thinking, he kept his line of sight on the road for a moment. Can't say I have, but, I could be wrong, too. The guy keeps himself hidden pretty well, that's for sure. I never even saw him when I went to go meet with the guys. I nodded as he explained to me his complications, trying to make him feel better at least a little. Maybe the venting would do something to calm his nerves. My eyes opened wide and attentive, though, as I looked down upon hearing my garment notify us that we had reached our destination. Good Lord, it was about time. All that hooker slaughtering had made me even more hungry. Looking back on this sentence, the second time, though, I don't know, it's kind of messed up. I don't know why I wrote that one. But boy, was I in for a terrible surprise. The Bon-Ton? What the fuck? I shouted to the heavens as if the gods would smite my apparently rogue GPS. After all these years of friendship, I never thought he would have pulled a heist like this. It's too elaborate, even for him. I told you I'm not buying you that goddamn sweater for your birthday. It's too fucking expensive, and you of all people... What the fuck? I just called my GPS a person? Should know that money is tight these days. Fine, just look to your right then, dumbass, said the... Whoa. The Garmin? Fucking right, said the Garmin. I shit you not on this one, my friends. That global positioning system shot words my way that weren't even directional. Okay, to be fair, it told me to turn right, but it called me a dumbass, and that doesn't even count, so it talked. Let's be honest here. Here we are, spending billions of dollars looking for intelligent life, and it was in my pocket the whole time. Well, intelligent with not-so-intelligent taste in outerwear. I may have glanced to the right, and there may have been a Burger King there. Shit, they're out of meat. But in all seriousness, guys, I mean, this happened to me once. I was just minding my own, cruising up to the drive-thru, and, I see this sign that they're out of fucking meat. I'm sorry, but this is Burger King. My mistake, clearly. For crying out loud, a form of meat is in their goddamn name, and they can't even keep a steady stock of it. If you ask me, the blame lies squarely on today's technology. It's made us astronomically more lazy since the 1900s, but that's just my take. At that point, though, I had gotten where I needed to be, and in style nonetheless. So it was about time for me to part ways with my new celebrity amigo. Well, Ben, I gotta head out, but I'll catch you later, bud. You sure you don't want anything? Shaking his head, he replied exactly as I expected. Nah, man, thanks for the offer, though. I should be fine as long as I get the money. Although, if anything bad happens, I suppose you'll see it on the news. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that point anyway. You'll have to keep me posted, I said, smiling, to let him know that I was on his side. He was the kind of guy I felt like I could count on. I mean, we both just cheated death at the same time, so it's clear there was some bonding that went down. As I exited the car, he handed me his business card. Maybe he would let me help him out after all. Swiveling 180 degrees via my left heel, I turned and walked towards the paradise I spent the entire fucking chapter getting to. Such a simple task, made so complicated by such a smelly hooker. Power walking my way through a lot filled by mostly older sedans, which is fuel efficient and sporty in these tough economic times, I couldn't help but notice the eerie silence following such a loud afternoon activity-wise. Only the rev of Ben Affleck's red Maserati could be heard, but after that, nothing. No other cars, no wind, no innocent city folk singing Kumbaya while making out with their ex-boy or girlfriends whom they haven't seen in 4 years due to the war in Afghanistan, which, if you ask anybody, they'll most likely agree that the war isn't fun, which happened to be the topic of the latest Oprah, and she had this special celebrity guest, but I don't know who it was because I missed the episode. But don't worry, guys, because I had a friend tape it, and you guessed it. No gunfire. What the fuck?